What up guys, welcome back to Graybox Nashville. Today we have the privilege of breaking in the newest member of the Graybox mic locker, which is, drumroll please, editor put that in, the one and only AEA R88 Stereo Ribbon mic. Super excited about this one. We've had a ton of R88s in the studio over the years, just with various engineers and producers and whatnot, but we've never actually had one calling Graybox home until now. The R88 is a stereo far field ribbon mic in a fixed Blumline configuration. Blumline? I don't know. Haven't been able to find a good answer. Let me know in the comments what you think it is. The R88 is essentially a stereo version of the N8 ribbon mic with two ribbons stacked right on top of one another for perfect phase coherence. The R88 is widely known for its excellence in capturing sources naturally and honestly, aka the thing you're recording sounds like the thing you're recording. Piano recorded with an R88 sounds like you're standing in the room with the piano. An acoustic guitar sounds like you're in the room with the player. Very open and very realistic, which is amazing. And to top it all off, I mean, it just looks sick, right? I mean, it's just like such a sick looking piece of audio equipment. Looks like something from 2001 A Space Odyssey or like Submarine, you know? Anyways, excited to have this living here in the studio now and very excited to break it in today with my favorite thing to record with the R88, drums. We're gonna try it out in 3 different positions. Above the kit as an overhead mic, about 8 feet in front of the kit as a near room mic, in the loft above the live room, one of my favorite places to put this thing, and maybe one more spot for fun, just try it out. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Like usual, we're gonna try these out dry first just to hear how they sound straight up, and we're gonna add in some compression afterwards, see how they take to that. Before we get rolling, if you are not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, would mean a whole lot to us. All right, without further ado, let's try out the R88 on drums. All right, we've got all of these placements of the R88 recorded officially. Let's go ahead and check them out, starting with the overheads. See what they sound like. Initial thoughts, I love the stereo picture that this is giving of the kit. It's not as wide as something like a spaced pair, but it's still got great width. You can clearly hear the hat on the left side and the toms moving around the picture as the run happens. So the width feels good, but the best part, 0 phase issues because of those ribbons just being right on top of one another. One note to pay attention to the placement of the kick in the stereo field. Let's check that out real quick. Kick is skewed a little bit to the right, which actually makes sense and is my fault because of the placement of it. We placed the R88 for overheads kind of in the same position that a drummer would be looking at his kit. And if you're a drummer sitting behind the kit, you're gonna have snare in the middle of your legs and then the kick off to the right a little bit. So because we kind of did it at that angle, that's actually what we're hearing, which makes sense. So if you're going for that sound, amazing. However, if you're going for more of a modern stereo sound where the kick and the snare are just right up the center and everything else is kind of wide, you probably want to go with a placement that's more like this one, where the midline of the kick and the snare are both parallel with the R88 rather than perpendicular. That way it's going to center up that snare and that kick just nicely right in the center of the stereo picture. So just for your consideration. Love the tone that the R88 gets for overheads. I'm more used to tracking overheads with condensers, which lean a little bit brighter. The natural darkness of the ribbon is really, really nice. It kind of controls those cymbals a little bit more in a way that we could bring back if we wanted to. But the main thing is I'm getting more body out of the kick and the toms than I feel like I ever get when using condensers. So really cool facet of the R88. Crazy tom tone, crazy kick tone, big fan of that. All right, let's check out our near room right out in front of the kit. Great representation of what that drum set sounds like 8 feet in front of it, in that room. Extremely honest, accurate representation. That's amazing. Really catching the low end of the kick in particular, and then just the low end that's kind of existing in the room as well. So that's a super cool deal. The one thing I don't love about this is the snare sounds pretty thin, which probably has to do with where we place the mic within the room, probably the height of it. A lot of times when you're hunting around for where the sweet spot for a mic is, you gotta move your head around in the room while the instrument's being played, find out where, if it's the snare, where it's sounding the best. We didn't do that. And honestly, if we did and moved it somewhere else, we might have lost some of the tone of the kick. You know, it's always a little bit of a juggling act, a balancing act, a trade-off, but that's just something I notice with where we chose to place the R88 in front. Love the general kit sound in the kick. Not a huge fan of the snare, but overall, liking it. All right, let's move on to our Loft mic. Not much to say about that apart from that's what it sounds like when you're up in the loft and somebody's playing the drums. Like the R88 just does its thing and it captures that sound up there in such an accurate way. It's really cool. It's big, it's roomy, it's rumbly. It captures that more accurately than most of the other mics that I've tried up there. So well done on the R88. Love the way that it captures our loft room mic sound. Now let's try these out with a little bit of compression because, come on, it's drums, they're gonna get compressed. Let's see how it sounds. Not gonna mess with any EQ on these, although we'll note what you could potentially do with some EQ moves here. But the main goal here is just to see how these suckers sound with a little compression on them. Starting out again with our overheads, and we're gonna throw a UAD 1176 Rev A on here. For overheads, nothing crazy, just like 4-to-1, medium to lean in a little fastish attack, just to really grab the snare, control it a little bit, quick release so it lets it go really fast, just squeezing it a little bit, maybe 4 to 5 dB gain reduction on average. Let's hear how that sounds. Start out dry and then bring it in. From the top with compression. Squeezing a little character out of it, a little bit more life and vibrance. Awesome. Okay, near room, our front of the kit mic, and let's hit that with a UAD Distressor. Once again, starting out bypassed, and then we'll bring it in. From the top. Same kind of deal as the overheads, not hitting it too terribly hard. I don't know, you might say that 10 dB's hard, all relative, but main purpose being to control it, squeeze a little bit of the life out of the kit. You start to hear the room a lot more in the picture. Really cool. Love how this has responded to some compression. Okay, the Loft mic, and let's throw a SSL bus compressor on this one. Hear how it sounds. Starting out bypass. From the top. Slamming, right? I mean, it makes an already big drum room sound up in the loft sound even bigger. This is something you might be inclined to do more in parallel, where you double the track or have a wet dry knob and you're blending a more slammed version like this with the dry signal. But I like kind of where this is at. It just is really roomy, really big, lots of lows, which you could maybe take some EQ and control a little bit before they come in and hit the compressor. That's what the R88 sounds like in our loft, slammed with a bus compressor, really sick. All right, our final surprise placement, we are going to see how the R88 sounds in our entryway, which is just outside of our control room right here to my left. Entryway, there it is. I'm gonna leave the door open between the entryway and the live room to let all that sound bleed in. I have no idea how this is gonna sound. I've never actually put a mic there, so we'll see. Could be cool, could be awful. We're gonna find out together. Let's give it a listen. So definitely a more mid-rangey take on the kit than the rest of them, which is honestly kind of a cool option. One thing that really stands out to me is just the thump of the kick, living in that 120 to 150 range. Let's go find it actually. Right there, that kind of knock right around like 120, 130 or so. Yeah, so that's sick. Definitely a different flavor than the rest of them, but very usable within a broader drum mix. We're gonna put a UAD Fatso on it on the in-your-face drums preset. Just gonna push that up until it's really getting some saturation out of the plug-in, really slamming it. Hear how it sounds. From the top. Oh, that's so sick. The energy of the kick and the snare and the way the saturation is making that sound, really gluing it together, really unique take. Might end up using that placement more when tracking drums here. It's pretty sick. All right, that's it. R88 is officially broken in and welcome to the family. Question for you, of these 4 positions that we tried out, was any one in particular your favorite or something you could see yourself using in your workflow or your drum mix? Let us know which one and why in the comments. We'd love to hear your opinion. Special thanks to AEA for making such a killer microphone in the R88. Special thanks to you for hanging out with us today. We'll see you next time at Graybox Nashville.